collectively aim to provide hundreds of millions more people with water security through ambitious programs that take advantage of both deeper collaboration among us and also with our partners. MDBs are now exploring new and innovative financing that crowds in private and philanthropic resources. We are engaged with market-based mechanisms and working together to preserve scarce public financing for where it is needed the most, prioritizing and leveraging private sector participation and scaling up private sector financing and to facilitate guarantees and risk-sharing mechanisms. We will endeavor to ensure that no one is left behind, by prioritizing the most vulnerable populations, including indigenous and semi-indigenous people. The speaker just before me talked about it. MDBs believe that the water sector needs both technically and financially efficient service providers that can deliver quality services, and second, and sound governance arrangements, including policy, institutional, and regulatory regimes that are implemented with integrity. Let me, before I conclude, a few words on Senegal and then World Bank Group, because we are in Dakar. In our assessment of the World Bank Group, Senegal has long been recognized as a top performer in West Africa in water service delivery. And this progress has been made possible through the country's shared vision that links water security to human development, climate resilience, social inclusion, and economic competitiveness. Senegal is demonstrating that strong institutions, sustainable reforms, and coordinated financing can create the foundation for a long-term water security. We are happy to note that the World Bank Group, along with the other MDBs, have played a critical role in the transformation of water agenda in Senegal. And now let me turn to the World Bank Group, because there has been some very important developments in the last few weeks at the World Bank Group itself. So we at the World Bank Group are committing to mobilize capital on a scale to create impact at scale, which means a multiplier of 3 to 4 times what we have done in the past in the water sector. On December 23rd, 2025, the World Bank Group's Board of Directors approved a water strategy implementation plan, which commits the World Bank Group to reach 400 million people, measured as per the SDG scorecard by 2030. This, by any means, this is a very bold and ambitious commitment of the World Bank Group. But we know that the 400 million people is only a 10% of the total number of people facing various forms of water insecurity, 4 billion people today in the world. Therefore, we would like to see how World Bank Group's new plan, we can mobilize more partners around this, create a platform for bigger and much more ambitious global action. And in that regard, we are now consulting all the multilateral development partners, bilaterals, investors, pension funds included, and private sector partners to establish what we call Mission Water, to reach 1 billion people or more by 2030, because we believe water sector's time has come to really go from millions of people access and targets to 1 billion of people, because that's the size of the problem we are dealing with globally. Mission Water will be meant to support those governments that develop and implement reform-focused water compacts, which we believe is essential for mobilizing greater public and private financing, scaling innovation, and advancing cross-border water cooperation. Last word on the importance of UN Water Conference preparatory process for the MDBs. Colleagues, the road to the UN 2026 Water Conference is not just a moment for dialogue. It should be a moment to commit to work together with urgency, acceleration, and scale. Leadership has to come from the countries and their governments to prioritize water sector reforms to achieve impact at scale. In closing, on behalf of the World Bank Group and all the multilateral development banks, I reaffirm our collective commitment to working with Senegal, UAE, and all the countries present in this room to advance the water agenda forward. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Saroj Kumar Jha. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, cap maintenant sur le leadership politique multilatéral. Nous sommes à moins de 4 ans de 2030 et le constat est clair. L'ODD6 accuse un retard préoccupant, certes, mais rassurez-vous, ce retard n'est pas une fatalité. Il appelle une mobilisation politique renforcée, une meilleure coordination des acteurs et un passage résolu de l'engagement à la mise en œuvre. Pour partager alors une vision stratégique sur la manière d'accélérer l'action collective pour l'eau, j'ai l'honneur maintenant d'inviter son Excellence Retno Marsudi, ancien ministre des Affaires étrangères de l'Indonésie, en même temps envoyé spécial du secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour l'eau.
Many thanks to Mr. Saraj Kumar Jha for his presentation, during which he emphasized on the key role of finance in accelerating universal access to water and sanitation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we now turn our focus to political and multilateral leadership. With less than 4 years to go until 2030, the facts are clear. SDG 6 is facing a concerning delay, but this delay is not unavoidable. It calls for strengthened political mobilization, better coordination among stakeholders, and a resolute shift from commitment to implementation. To share a strategic vision on how to accelerate collective action for water, I have the honor of inviting Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, former Minister for Foreign Affairs of Indonesia and the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water. Excellency, you now have the floor.
I do hope that you can see me. I'm here. So I have to stand on my two. Mr. President, once again, first of all, congratulations for Senegal on its African Cup victory. Colleagues, football reminds us that teamwork leads to success. And let us bring the spirit of good teamwork, strong teamwork, in advancing the global water agenda. You agree, right? So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the UN Secretary General, it's really an honor for me to be here today, and I commend Senegal and the UAE for their leadership in co-hosting the UN 2026 Water Conference and its high-level preparatory meeting. Colleagues, water is life, and this is a phrase we hear every often. Unfortunately, the reality is confronting us with different story. Billions of people still lack of access to safe drinking water. Even more still lack of access to safely managed sanitation. And each day, thousands of children die because of preventable water and sanitation related diseases. Instead of sustaining life, the world water situation is still failing too many lives. That is a grim story that fills our reality. But we cannot give up to this reality. Giving up to this reality means giving up on our lives and our future. Excellencies, distinguished guests, to change that reality, the world needs major transformation in water and sanitation agenda. This is why 2026 Water Conference is so important, because it gives us an opportunity of transformation, an opportunity to plan and shape our entire journey of 2026. Transformation in water and sanitation will lead transformation in agriculture, energy, health, climate action, and other areas. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, now the question is, how can we make sure that this Dakar meeting fulfill its purpose? Answering this question, I would like to highlight 3 things. First, it is time to put water firmly at the top of global agenda. We can no longer tolerate water being an afterthought. The world fails on water because we prioritize it too late, too low, and too fragmented. If water were treated like energy, finance, or security agendas, we would already be on track with SDG 6 and other sustainable development goals. Because water underpins food, energy, health, and all other sustainable development agendas. Water is the operating system of the whole 2030 SDGs. It is a strategic enabler. Therefore, water must move upstream in decision-making and not remain as an afterthought in development agenda. With this Dakar moment from now on, we must ensure that water is in the room whenever critical decisions are made. Second, we must abandon the old paradigm that says water problem as given reality, and we must also focus on action. The water and sanitation challenges we face are not a failure of nature. They are preventable, and we have the choice to prevent them from happening. It requires us to focus, to take action, and make investment to prevent the reality of water problems. The success of this Dakar meeting will be judged by one thing only. It will be judged by whether we go back home taking action for water or not. Water doesn't disappear because we are unlucky. It disappears when we choose to delay action. Last, we must realize that this Dakar meeting is beyond just a preparatory meeting. The Dakar meeting is a point of no return. This meeting is the first operational milestone of 2026 UN Water Conference process. Therefore, beyond political signaling, we must not fail to use this conference, this momentum, to have substantive discussion, to align effort around a common vision and objective, to identify priority areas of action and opportunities with a clear pathway toward end of 2026 and beyond, and to seed initiatives, program, and partnership. This strategic moment cannot be wasted. This Dakar moment must be used as a launchpad for action with clear priority focus areas and actionable initiative and partnership capable of delivering results. It must also begin a forward-looking discussion on how we move from the 2030 agenda toward a credible and coherent post-2030 global water framework. So beyond than just another conference, the world needs collective commitment and action. So colleagues, let's this Dakar meeting be that moment where collective commitment meets willingness to act and meet real transformation for the world's water, sanitation, and for our future. I thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence Retno Marsudi, ancienne ministre des Affaires étrangères de l'Indonésie. Elle est aussi l'envoyée spéciale du secrétaire général des Nations Unies pour l'eau. Merci pour ces mots. Mesdames et messieurs, nous allons maintenant observer une petite pause, une pause musicale, et nous allons sans plus attendre inviter un grand artiste, et il va tout de suite nous rejoindre sur la scène. Sophia.
Effectivement, Adama. Her Excellency Redno Massoudi, we thank you so much for your profound word. She is the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia and United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy on Water. Just like my colleague Adama just said, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, it is now time to enjoy a performance from one of Senegal's icon, musical and cultural icon. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Ismaïl.
Bonjour, chers compatriotes. C'est un plaisir de chanter devant vous. Et comme nous parlons de l'eau, et je vous souhaite une bonne organisation. Et c'est qu'Ismaël Lo rime un peu avec l'eau. C'est pas moi, hein. Ismaël Lo rime avec l'eau. Ismaël Lo peut être indispensable, ça dépend par moment. Mais l'eau, elle est... Je vous entends pas. Ismaël Lo peut être indispensable, mais l'eau est... Merci beaucoup. Merci. Hey. J'entends pas.
Alakna bungende gise, kendulen fewale. Alakna bungende gise, kena waktan
J'entends pas.
Alakna bungende gise, igen kana am dole. Alakna bungende gise, kena waktan Manti dosieni, ya ibaiti warwi, ya ham goga ya ham digenga, gen andando bay warwi, dak gemna ni bolo de tomori, lubala. Bénéficier de ñoo féwolo suma amoon li ma gënal man ngeen àndandoo bokk doole ndax gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di doole lu baax la. Kumunti don sinyuni, jamu Sénégal rek moy sa yéene. Suma amon li ma gënal man, nañu àndandoo bokk doole ndax man gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di lu baax la man gëm naa ni ma ne mbooloo moo gën suñu réew man joxante loxo man gëm naa ni ma ne mbooloo moo gën suñu réew man joxante loxo xalaat naa lu baax la xalaat naa lu gën la ñu ànd booloo ñun dana sax faa dégg xalaat naa lu baax la xalaat naa lu gën la ñu ànd booloo ñun dana sax faa dégg ndax gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di lu baax la man gëm naa ni ma ne mbooloo moo gën suñu réew nañ joxante loxo gëm naa ni ma ne mbooloo moo gën suñu réew nañ joxante loxo man gëm naa ni mbooloo rek moo di lu baax la man gëm naa ni ma ne mbooloo moo gën suñu réew nañ joxante loxo xalaat naa bu man ko di ngeen gën a am doole xalaat naa bu ngeen man ko gën a waxtaan mën a juboo lu baax la
The co-hosting of the 2026 United Nations Water Conference by Senegal and the United Arab Emirates embodies a renewed vision of multilateralism, one rooted in North-South cooperation, innovation, and the mobilization of finance to achieve universal access to water and sanitation. I have the honor of inviting His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Balala, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Energy and Sustainability of the United Arab Emirates, to speak on behalf of the conference co-organizers. Excellency, you now have the floor.
Your Excellency, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, President of the Republic of Senegal, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great pleasure to be with you today here in Dakar at the high-level preparatory meeting for the 2026 United Nations Water Conference, which the United Arab Emirates is proud to be co-hosting with the Republic of Senegal. This journey that began over 18 months ago, driven by our shared commitment to place water where it truly belongs, at the heart of the international agenda. For decades, water has been under-prioritized and underfunded. Yet, in recent years, particularly following the 2023 UN Water Conference, we have seen a long overdue shift. The United Arab Emirates is committed to contributing and helping drive this renewed recognition of water as a fundamental enabler of sustainable development, economic growth, peace and security, and ultimately, people's lives. This understanding is deeply rooted in our own experience. Despite being located in one of the most water-scarce regions in the world, the UAE has achieved universal access to clean water and sanitation. This did not happen by chance. It is the result of deliberate leadership choices, sustained investment, and the application of innovative water management solutions. Water has always been a national priority for our leadership at the highest level. But our commitment has never been confined to managing water within our own borders. From the very beginning of our nation, water was a humanitarian calling championed by our founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. He understood that water is not only a resource, but a source of life, dignity, and hope. Despite his passing 22 years ago, Sheikh Zayed's vision continues to flow across borders and generations. The Zayed Wells Initiative stands as a living testament to that legacy, still quenching thirst and sustaining life for more than 60 million people around the world. His compassion did not end with his lifetime. It endures in every drop of water that reaches a community in need, reminding us all that true leadership is measured by the lives it continues to touch long after the leader is gone. Today, we continue to scale up his legacy. In early 2024, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates, launched the Mohammed bin Zayed Water Initiative, focused on accelerating technological innovations to address global water scarcity. Its flagship initiative, the X Prize Water Scarcity, is the largest prize of its kind globally, supported by $150 million contribution. And just 3 weeks ago, the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development launched the Abu Dhabi Global Water Platform, a strategic initiative aiming to mobilize $2 billion from local and international financing institutions between 2026 and 2030, and committed a $1 billion to water-related projects, targeting approximately 10 million beneficiaries worldwide. And to further promote innovative solutions for water, over the past 17 years, the UAE Pioneering Global Award Zayed Sustainability Prize, through its dedicated water pillar, has helped save an estimated 160 billion liters of water. I assure you, these efforts will only continue to grow. Against this backdrop, the 2026 Water Conference is a central pillar of our efforts to advance global water action. As the first ever UN conference dedicated to accelerating the implementation of Sustainable Development Goal number 6, ensuring the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, it represents a critical turning point in the global agenda. After a 46-year pause in UN water conferences, and following the renewed political momentum generated in 2023, the 2026 UN Water Conference must be about implementation. Quite simply, it is a make or break moment. Either we unite behind sustained, coordinated, and accelerated global water action, or we risk failing not only SDG 6, but many of our broader global priorities: food, energy security, climate resilience, public health, as well as economic growth. Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, we are not naive about the scale of the challenges before us, nor about the complex global and multilateral context in which we are operating. But we also recognize the unparalleled opportunity this conference presents to show how water can be an accelerator of progress across all sectors, and a powerful example of effective multilateral cooperation. We have always emphasized that the 2026 UN Water Conference is not an event. It is a process. And it is a process we have been proud to work together with you since 2024. Allow me to reflect briefly but proudly on what we have achieved so far together. Over the past year, we chose to begin not with prescriptions, but with listening. We engaged in extensive consultations with hundreds of member states and stakeholders across the globe to hear diverse perspectives, to learn from lived realities, and to truly understand the global water landscape. From these voices, our shared vision began to take shape. Guided by what we heard and grounded firmly in our mandate, we put forward 6 themes rooted in the 2030 Agenda and its 5 pillars: people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnerships. These themes do more than frame a conference. They reflect a clear call to action, one that recognizes emerging priorities and responds to the urgency of mobilizing investments and strengthening all means of implementation. July 2025, something remarkable happened. By consensus, all 193 member states agreed on these 6 themes, 6 shared global water priorities. At a moment when multilateralism is being tested, the word chose unity. It chose cooperation. It chose water as a common ground. Just 10 days ago, we took another unprecedented step. We announced the 12 co-chairs who will lead the 6 interactive dialogues, selected nearly a year in advance to ensure depth, inclusivity, and meaningful preparations. And I want to say to our co-chairs, your leadership and voices matters, and we are deeply grateful to have you with us as partners in this journey. Throughout this process, the level of engagement from member states has been both strong and inspiring, through expressions of interest to co-chair, thoughtful written inputs, and active participation in preparatory meetings at the UN headquarters in March and July last year. While only 12 co-chairs could be selected, let me be clear. This conference will not be shaped by a few. It will be built by all. And that brings us to today, the high-level preparatory meeting, convened nearly a year ahead of the conference, with clear themes and committed leadership already in place, is not procedural. It is strategic, it is intentional, and it is a moment of opportunity that we must not allow to pass us by. As you can see, the process is in motion, and we are moving forward with full momentum to deliver a game-changing conference that will put the world back on track in addressing global water issues. Let's imagine, of course, together, a world where 2.2 billion people no longer wake up without access to safe drinking water, where 3.4 billion people live with dignity because sanitation is no longer a privilege, but a given, where the silent tragedy of losing 1,000 children under the age of 5 every single day to unsafe water is finally brought to an end. A world where do not merely react to water scarcity affecting more than 2/3 of humanity, but where we understand it, manage it, and prevent it with foresight and resolve. Let us imagine a world where water sits at the heart of every decision, every sector, and every policy, elevated to the highest level of political priority. A world where investment flows at scale, innovation moves at speed, political will rises to the moment, and partnerships converge to deliver coordinated, transformative action on water. This is not an abstract. It is the future we must work toward, and the future we can only build together. This responsibility doesn't rest with the co-hosts alone. It rests with all of us. Each government, each institution, each community, even each individual here today is accountable. The 2026 UN Water Conference is our collective moment, a rare opportunity to change the trajectory of water on the global agenda. And again, I repeat, we cannot afford to let it pass. And finally, to my dear brothers and sisters in Senegal, thank you for your warm hospitality. And for welcoming us to your beautiful country. This partnership has been exceptional, rooted in strong bilateral ties, mutual respect, and a shared belief in what multilateral cooperation can achieve. As we move forward as co-hosts of this conference, I am confident that this journey will only grow deeper and stronger. I very much look forward to welcoming you and all of you here with us today in Abu Dhabi later this year to make history, of course, together. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Son Excellence, Monsieur Abdullah Balala, ministre adjoint des Affaires étrangères chargé de l'énergie et de la durabilité des Émirats arabes unis. Nous rappelons que cette conférence des Nations unies sur l'eau sera co-présidée ou co-organisée par le Sénégal et les Émirats arabes unis, et ce sera en décembre à Abu Dhabi. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, nous avons maintenant l'honneur de présenter le rapport GLAAS, un document de référence d'ONU Haut basé sur des données actualisées qui évaluent les politiques cadres institutionnels, financement et ressources humaines dédiées à l'eau, à l'assainissement et à l'hygiène dans le monde. Ce rapport, vous allez le voir, est le fruit de l'expertise et de la collaboration internationale et présenté aujourd'hui en guise de contribution d'ONU Haut aux travaux de cette conférence et au dialogue interactif auquel nous prenons tous part ce matin. Pour nous présenter ce rapport, nous avons maintenant l'honneur d'accueillir M. Álvaro Lario, président de l'ONU Haut et du Fonds international de développement agricole, qui va partager avec nous les principaux enseignements et recommandations du rapport GLAAS.
Many thanks to His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Balala, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Energy and Sustainability of the United Arab Emirates, who spoke on behalf of the conference co-organizers. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are now have the honor of presenting the GLAAS report, Global Analysis and Assessment of Sanitation and Drinking Water. As a flagship UN water document based on the latest data, it evaluates the policies, institutional frameworks, financing, and human resources dedicated to water, sanitation, and hygiene worldwide. This report, the result of international expertise and collaboration, is presented today as a UN water contribution to the work of this conference and the interactive dialogues in which we are participating this morning. To present this report, we are honored to welcome Mr. Álvaro Lario, Chair of UN Water and President of the International Fund for Agriculture, who will share with us the key findings and recommendations of the GLAAS report. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Lario.
Sous vos applaudissements, s'il vous plaît.
Bonjour à tous. Good morning to all. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, honorable ministers, excellencies, representatives of international organizations and civil society, dear friends. It's a pleasure to be here in Dakar. It's always a pleasure to come to Senegal. Let me also thank the government and the people of Senegal for your hospitality and your warmth in the welcome. And also thank the governments of UAE and of Senegal for your leadership and for convening us over these next 2 years. 2 days, 2 years going to be in another conference. As co-host of the 2026 Water Conference, We know that your leadership is essential to really kickstart the momentum for global water action. This high-level preparatory meeting sets the tone for the road ahead, and it brings us together to shape a common direction, one that accelerates progress on water and sanitation and to deliver great results for the people. In a world impacted by many crises, water remains central to building stability and to building resilience. Under the current UN 80 reform initiative, water remains a political priority, and this is thanks to the leadership and to the ambition of many member states here also present. At the landmark UN 2023 Water Conference, co-hosted by the Kingdom of Netherlands and the Republic of Tajikistan, countries asked the UN system to do more and to commit to tackling many water-related challenges as a top priority. Responding to this call 1 year later in 2024, UN Water and all of its partners launched the first UN system-wide water strategy for water and sanitation, and its implementing plan, which was launched last year, which is already unifying and maximizing the impact of the UN on the ground. Action on water and sanitation remains a very important catalyst for progress on sustainable development, human rights, and peace. Excellencies, today's meeting starts a decisive 2-year arc spanning the UN Water Conferences in 2026. We need to approach the coming years as a continuous and coherent member states-driven vision-building process where we sharpen our collective direction and is fully committed to supporting countries in this journey and to ensuring that water remains at the heart of a shared vision of a more sustainable and equitable future. Before concluding, I would like to turn to the evidence that can help guide the decisions that we take in the months ahead. Today, in my capacity as chair of UN Water, the interagency mechanism that coordinates the efforts across the UN, its entities and international organizations, I am pleased to announce the launch of the UN Water Global Analysis and Assessment on Sanitation and Drinking Water Report 2025, also known as GLAAS, which has been led by WHO and UNICEF on behalf of UN Water. Drawing on data from 105 countries and 21 development partners, GLAAS provides a global evidence based on the state of national wash systems. It shows where we are doing already well, where more efforts are needed, and also highlights good practices that others can also replicate and, more importantly, scale up. The report's findings are clear. Progress on SDG 6 depends on strong, resilient national systems that can deliver sustainable and equitable water and sanitation services for all. Your Excellency, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, it is an honor to hand this report to you, a symbol of our shared commitment to evidence-based action and to placing water and sanitation at the center of national and global priorities. Thank you for your attention.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Alvaro Lario, pour cette présentation éclairante du rapport GLAAS. À présent, Monsieur Lario, le rapport sera bien sûr remis symboliquement au président de la République, Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, au nom des organisateurs, illustrant notre engagement collectif en faveur de l'amélioration des services d'eau, d'assainissement et d'hygiène dans le monde.
Ladies and gentlemen, to receive the GLAAS report, please give a round of President of the Republic of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, and please welcome His Excellencies with a warm
Monsieur le
welcome.
Président de la République, Monsieur Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, nous vous invitons justement à prononcer votre discours.
Merci beaucoup. Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, Mesdames, Messieurs les ambassadeurs, distingués représentants des organisations internationales, chers techniques et financiers, chers invités, mesdames, messieurs. Je voudrais d'abord vous souhaiter la bienvenue et un excellent séjour au Sénégal, le nouveau pays champion d'Afrique. Je voudrais par contre vous rassurer que les sourires et l'hospitalité avec laquelle vous êtes accueillis n'est pas lié à ce nouveau titre que nous savourons bien, mais c'est dans notre nature. Vous êtes au pays de la Teranga. Dans la succession des jours et jalons importants pouvant impacter positivement la vie des hommes, ce 26 janvier est une date marquante, avec la tenue ici à Dakar de la réunion de haut niveau préparatoire à la Conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau en décembre 2026. Votre présence à Dakar témoigne de l'importance politique que la communauté internationale accorde à l'eau et à l'assainissement. Non seulement comme enjeu sectoriel, mais également comme fondement essentiel de la dignité humaine, de la santé des populations et de la stabilité des sociétés, mais aussi de la prospérité partagée des nations. L'eau est en effet une ressource vitale pour l'homme et la nature. L'eau est indispensable au maintien de l'équilibre de la planète et à l'atteinte des objectifs de développement durable. Et pour autant, nous le constatons tous, la crise de l'eau est une réalité mondiale. Selon les Nations Unies, 2,2 milliards de personnes n'ont toujours pas accès à une eau potable sûre et près de 3,5 milliards restent privés de services d'assainissement adéquats. Pendant que 4 milliards de personnes subissent une pénurie d'eau sévère au moins un mois par an. L'Afrique est particulièrement affectée par cette crise, avec 40% de la population qui n'a pas accès à l'eau potable et plus de 70% de manque de services d'assainissement de base. C'est une situation moralement inacceptable. Et tant qu'elle persistera, notre responsabilité collective restera engagée. Car les crises de l'eau alimentent les crises alimentaires, fragilisent les économies, déplacent les populations et exacerbent les tensions. Hélas, la crise s'accroît avec l'accélération du dérèglement climatique qui impacte gravement les liens intrinsèques entre l'eau et le climat. Étant établi que l'eau agit sur le climat, tout comme le climat détermine la disponibilité et la qualité des ressources en eau. En effet, le changement climatique perturbe considérablement le cycle de l'eau, entraînant sécheresse, inondations selon les précipitations faibles ou surabondantes, la fonte des glaces du fait du réchauffement climatique, ainsi que du changement des niveaux marins. L'eau, quant à elle, est un facteur climatique majeur et ces perturbations affectent notamment la disponibilité d'eau douce, la santé, l'agriculture, l'énergie, l'éducation et la biodiversité. Face à cette précarisation de la vie, le coût de l'inaction est immense. Il se mesure en vie humaine perdue, en opportunités de développement compromises, en fractures sociales aggravées et parfois en paix menacée. C'est pourquoi investir dans l'eau n'est pas seulement financer les infrastructures, mais également investir dans la résilience climatique, dans la prévention des tensions et des conflits, dans la stabilité et la prospérité mondiale. Dès lors, il est essentiel de renforcer les efforts de plaidoyer pour que la problématique de l'eau reste au cœur de l'action climatique et de l'agenda international. Mesdames et messieurs, l'objectif de développement durable numéro 6 consacré à l'eau et à l'assainissement constitue un levier stratégique pour l'atteinte de l'ensemble des objectifs de développement durable. Le fait de progresser, le faire progresser, c'est contribuer subséquemment à la mise en œuvre de l'agenda 2030. Cependant, nous notons qu'à 5 ans de l'échéance, force est de constater que nous sommes loin des objectifs fixés, même si des progrès sont observés sur plusieurs indicateurs, prouvant que l'accélération des performances reste possible si nous agissons sur les bons leviers. L'Afrique est au cœur de ces enjeux, malgré sa vulnérabilité aux chocs hydriques et climatiques. Continent riche de ses ressources et de sa jeunesse, elle est aussi une force de solution, d'opportunité, d'innovation et de savoirs endogènes. Je me réjouis à cet égard que l'Union africaine ait proclamé l'année 2026 année de l'eau en Afrique, en cohérence avec la prochaine adoption de la nouvelle vision africaine de l'eau, pilotée par le Conseil des ministres africains de l'eau, actuellement présidé par le Sénégal, champion d'Afrique. Cette ambition traduit une volonté de faire de l'eau un levier stratégique de transformation sociale, économique, environnementale au service de l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine et l'objectif de sécurité de l'eau pour le continent. Conscient de tous ces enjeux, y compris géostratégiques, le Sénégal s'est très tôt engagé en faveur de l'hydrodiplomatie. La co-organisation de la Conférence des Nations Unies, aux côtés des Émirats arabes unis, s'inscrit dans cette dynamique de faire de l'eau une source de paix et de développement, et non pas une source de conflit. Voilà pourquoi je tiens à saluer ici la qualité du partenariat avec la coprésidence émirati, fondée sur la confiance, une vision commune, mettant la problématique de l'eau au cœur de l'agenda international pour plus d'accès et de gestion apaisée des ressources hydriques. Ce partenariat est un symbole de la force du multilatéralisme à travers le dialogue et la coopération. Ensemble, nous voulons faire de cette conférence un moment d'engagement et d'action concrète. À l'heure où les Nations Unies s'engagent dans une réflexion profonde sur le renforcement du multilatéralisme, la question de l'eau constitue un test concret de notre capacité à produire des résultats tangibles pour les peuples. Faire progresser l'agenda de l'eau, c'est aussi restaurer la confiance dans l'action multilatérale et démontrer que la coopération internationale demeure un levier crédible de solution. La conférence de 2026 ne devra pas être une rencontre de plus, mais un moment de bascule par lequel la communauté internationale agira pour bâtir des réponses inclusives et durables face aux défis de l'eau, du climat, en mobilisant États, collectivités territoriales, secteur privé, société civile, scientifiques, communautés locales, jeunes et femmes dans un bel élan de solidarité et de complémentarité. Elle devra aussi apporter des solutions innovantes, adaptées aux réalités africaines. Elle devra aussi apporter des engagements concrets, mesurables et suivis dans le temps. Elle devra apporter une meilleure coordination des initiatives, Pour éviter la dispersion, elle devra apporter une mobilisation accrue des financements pour réaliser les investissements adéquats. Les investissements, en particulier dans les infrastructures, sont capitaux pour la disponibilité de l'eau, sa maîtrise et son utilisation. Les besoins considérables et les retours sur investissement le sont tout autant, notamment en emploi décent, en croissance inclusive, en réduction des risques climatiques, en stabilité sociale et politique. Toutefois, l'effort d'investissement requis ne pourra être soutenable sans une réflexion renouvelée sur les mécanismes de financement, notamment l'accès à des financements concessionnels, l'innovation financière et la prise en compte du poids de la dette. Investir dans l'eau, c'est investir dans un bien public mondial. Et cela appelle des réponses collectives équitables et adaptées aux capacités de chacun. Mais pour autant, aucune transformation durable ne sera possible sans les peuples eux-mêmes. Avec les savoirs endogènes, les communautés locales et les peuples autochtones sont les premiers gardiens de l'eau. Leur connaissance fine des territoires, des cycles naturels et des équilibres écologiques est une richesse irremplaçable. La science et les données, ingénieusement valorisées aujourd'hui, doivent dialoguer avec les savoirs locaux et traditionnels. Les jeunes doivent être au cœur des solutions, porteurs d'innovation, d'énergie et d'espérance. Les femmes qui sont en première ligne de la gestion quotidienne de l'eau doivent tout aussi être pleinement reconnues comme actrices du changement. C'est donc dans une dynamique inclusive que nous pourrons relever les défis et atteindre les objectifs de la Conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau. C'est pourquoi je me réjouis de la grande diversité des acteurs présents ici à Dakar pour la co-construction d'une feuille de route pertinente et efficace. Pendant 2 jours, vous aurez l'occasion de consolider les 6 dialogues interactifs qui structureront la conférence de 2026 autour des thématiques que sont l'eau pour les populations, l'eau pour la prospérité, l'eau pour la planète, l'eau pour la coopération et l'eau dans les processus multilatéraux, mais aussi les investissements dans l'eau. Je forme le vœu que la rencontre de Dakar balise la voie du succès de la conférence d'Abu Dhabi par l'émergence d'une vision partagée, des engagements concrets et une feuille de route crédible. Sur ce, je déclare ouverts les travaux de la réunion de haut niveau préparatoire à la Conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau prévue du 2 au 4 décembre 2026 à Abu Dhabi. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention et vous souhaite plein succès à vos travaux.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président de la République du Sénégal, Son Excellence, Monsieur Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye. Ces interventions illustrent une conviction partagée que l'eau doit être placée au cœur des priorités politiques mondiales comme un bien vital pour l'homme, la nature et la stabilité de nos sociétés. Cette réunion préparatoire de haut niveau marque ainsi le début d'un processus exigeant mais porteur d'espoir vers une conférence des Nations Unies sur l'eau 2026 ambitieuse, inclusive et orientée vers des résultats concrets. Mesdames et messieurs, nous vous invitons à poursuivre les travaux dans cet esprit de responsabilité collective, de coopération et d'action.
Many thanks to His Excellency, President of the Republic of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar.